welcome to Let's Bring Them In. My name is Benjamin DeHart. I'm your up-and-coming marketing rock star.
Hello, this is Evan Klein, the Time Wizard.
And as always, this is Sir Derek, your Knight of Ethics.
This is Let's Bring Them In, a comedy marketing podcast where we rebrand the brands that don't need rebranding. With us on the show, introducing a very special little premium topic, is going to be our animal expert, Jess Sattler.
Yes!
I am Jess Sattler. Ben already introduced me, so I can't really say anything about myself, I guess.
Oh, you could say more.
Jess, are there any new animals?
Woo!
They're finding new animals every day, man. I just saw on Science Twitter, someone was talking about how they just found a new shark.
What did they name him?
Might have been an extinct shark, but...
Any animals like the ones in Spy Kids 2?
Still looking for those.
Aren't those just dinosaurs? I correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've seen that.
Oh, they're like mishmash animals.
There was the monkey with the spider legs.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I had so many really freaky toys based on that movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not at liberty to comment about the monkey spider mix creature. It's classified.
Yeah.
She works for the government now, so you have to take what she says with a grain of salt. Derek, we're gonna talk about something else before we get into it. But what is our main topic of the evening?
I don't even know. I don't have a one word answer for that, but we're just gonna talk about different shows that have episodes that are kind of not aging well and taking them off of streaming services. Yes, Evan?
I would say, so in case the listener was wondering, there is a solid 2-second delay between what I say and when my friends and fellow pimps and pimpette hear it. So I'm going to be putting my finger up to the camera, just a little bit, peel back the curtain so you can see the great Oz. What we're going to be talking about is separating the art from the artist. And
sweet.
That's impossible to do so as well.
Yeah, I would say that is the most elegant way to put that. But speaking of elegant ways to put things, something incredible has happened on Science Twitter. Jess, would you mind just filling us in a little bit on what's been going on, the topic of what caused a meltdown on Science Twitter just a couple days ago?
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up my tweets right now.
You can give us just a rundown quick of what happened.
So basically what happened, there was a podcast that started this topic, and they basically tweeted out, hey, what is the most overrated animal? Because in Science Twitter, everyone loves to shit on the animals that they work on and also loves to shit on other people's animals. They're like this whole thing of hashtag team fish, hashtag team bird, and people are like, birds suck. And people are like, fish suck. So basically this person in charge of the podcast just posted that to get people to talk shit about animals. And then a man named Michael Eisen, who is the editor-in-chief of the scientific journal eLife, retweeted that. And he said, C. elegans, they wriggle forward, they wriggle backwards, and occasionally they fuck themselves. That's it. This tweet caused such a fucking shitstorm on Science Twitter because researchers in the C. elegans community, C. elegans is a nematode and it's a model organism that's used for a lot of different studies. But these people that studied this fucking nematode came out of the woodwork and they were basically equating the fact that this man made a joke about a worm to microaggressions and the struggle of minorities and the struggle of women.
Whoa.
I can pull up a few choice tweets to talk more about that.
To fill dead air, I will say that a lot of scientists, because they don't get the opportunity to, speak in less of a scientific, a scientific thrust. No, they only speak in scientific thrust, so they're not able to speak very much in representation thrust as easily. They'll kind of conflate issues with problems. So someone, belittling their science becomes very personal because that's their entire life.
Yeah. Do you have tweets?
I would like to read this tweet to you by a C. elegans researcher who will remain anonymous because I think they deleted this tweet, and I would like to respect that.
Just for clarification, before you read the tweet, C. elegans, is it SEA or just the letter C?
No, it's C. elegans.
Oh.
The actual species name is Caenorhabditis Canorhabditis elegans.
I understand
Now
why
you know.
he goes by
Now
his
you know why they
nickname.
abbreviate it C.
Yeah. So this researcher tweeted as a response to this guy's tweet about how these nematodes suck ass. She said, "If you are in a position of power and influence, you should be careful of not insulting others. The worm community is a very strong community, and we have our own sensitivities for good or bad, liking it or not."
Wow.
I just want to celebrate the fact that there's a worm community before we move on.
And I'm sort of upset that not one of us is part of it.
Yeah. This reminds me of a tweet back in the day where it was, man, I love twitter.com, a place where someone can say, I really like hot dogs, especially with mustard. And 10 replies later, someone will say, shut the fuck up, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Jeez.
That's very good.
I think what my favorite part about what's happened in this whole discussion is that people have started conflating the current zeitgeist that America is facing about like racial issues with attacks against the worm community.
Jeez. I guess I didn't know the worm community ran so deep.
This one researcher who I will put on blast because she has not deleted these tweets.
Ooh.
Her name is Maureen Barr. Her handle is BARR_LAB. Her response to this was, "I was really disheartened to hear that locker room talk remains acceptable and defended in the academic Twitterverse. I agree that inclusion, diversity, equity, and action are critical to our scientific community and that we should tirelessly fight white supremacy."
Interesting.
They're opening some serious floodgates for saying anyone who disagrees with me is a white supremacist.
If you hate the worms,
Don't you know
you're
it's a
racist.
slippery slope from hating a nematode to white supremacy? Not even hating a nematode, just making a joke about the nematode.
As SpongeBob once said, nematodes are people too. However, it's interesting because there was a post. I want to say it was during the quarantine period. It was about 2 months ago. Not a post. There was an article released in like a pretty well-known chemistry journal, Angewandte Chemie, which is one of the best like international journals. And it kind of went in on the fact that it's a Canadian chemist. It doesn't matter where he's from, but it's a guy who basically like perpetuated this idea that like, well, if you're a chemist, like you're supposed to submit to your PI's will. You're supposed to become an emulated version of them. And right now there's too much of an emphasis on pushing forward minorities and women, and it's hurting science. And then immediately everyone said, yeah, we really shouldn't be publishing things like this. And I thought that was a pretty appropriate response because chemistry, hard to believe, mostly white and male. However, seeing people say, don't talk about my worms like this, fuck you forever, and also did you know you're a racist, is very good comic relief. That if it's irony, respect.
I think the conflation of an actual discussion America's having with you disparaging my worms is a hate crime.
They do think it's a hate crime. For instance, this one researcher, she might have deleted this tweet, but I don't care because she's dumb. Her name is Dr. Valerie
Respect.
Horsley. I won't read her handle because I'm lazy. But someone said something like, it was just a joke about the worm. Like, why are you getting so mad? And she said, it's just a joke. ... Women in POC have heard that one before.
Ooh, damn.
This is a white woman, by the way.
Yes.
Women and POC
I do want to
and
explain.
worms.
I do want to explain that the vast majority of these researchers who are upset about the joke about the worm are white women.
Of course.
Yeah, and it's so. I feel like we've got we've discovered the Karens of the nematode village. I don't know. I think I get it where they're coming from, and I'm going to explain so that you guys can tear into me as the devil's advocate. They're going to say that
With
like
nuance.
the worms are already ugly, boring creatures, and we already don't have the support of the community because no one gives a shit about worms. You coming at me in this thread that was supposed to be a joke, but in any way coming at me removes the possibility that I'm going to get my grant funding because you disparaged the worm.
Someone retweeted one of these tweets about how one of these C. elegans researchers was talking about how these jokes are microaggressions. And they retweeted it with a couple of really good titles of movies revamped to share the struggle of the C. elegans. And they include 12 Years in Nematode, Nematode Unchained, The Color Nematode, I Know Why the Nematode Sings, and The Immortal Life of Nematodes.
Very good.
Very good. Damn.
And I would like to give her credit because that was an incredible tweet.
Please do.
That is a really good tweet.
Her @ is Sasha_melanated, SASHA_MELANATED.
I got one. What about O Nematode, Where Art Thou?
Ooh,
That's
Very
pretty good.
Very
That
nice.
is pretty good. I like it.
Derek.
Oh, I gotta come up with one. Oh, jeez. I just keep thinking.
This is
I'm
very
distracted.
good. Hey, I got you. I got you.
Okay, go.
Gone with the Worm.
Ooh, Gone with the Worm is good.
Very good.
I literally couldn't get Amistad out of my head, and I was like, how do I relate this to Worm? I can't. I just keep thinking Amistad.
Say Wormistad.
Wormistad. All right, that's it. I have a question, and it's related to worms, and it's mostly for Jess because she's the smartest person on the podcast right now. Where did all the worms go?
Evan's pretty smart. He hides it.
Well, I mean, worm. Like you know about the worms and the animals, and you're the expert.
Okay, yeah. That's fair.
Where did all the worms go? Where did they go? Because when it used to rain, the worms would come out in my youth, and we would step on them on the sidewalk. And now when it rained, no more worm. Where'd they all go?
My answer for you is that you live in Los Angeles, where it never rains.
Oh, what about when it rains in
So
Michigan?
I think
and
you
there
just
aren't any
forgot
worms?
what happens when it rains.
And also, like, yes to the Jess right here. Also, we're living in a pandemic where you never go outside.
But I don't see any more worms. Where'd they go?
That's true.
It's too hot. They like the cold places, like under logs.
Next time it rains, go for a walk.
Yeah. Next time, look under a log, Derek.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
all the logs in Los Angeles.
They don't call it Los
Yes.
Angeles for nothing.
There he is.
You dumb idiot. Damn. I think we need final thoughts on C. elegans before moving away. Do we have
I
any
think
final takes?
if Hillary was president, we wouldn't be having talks like this on Twitter.
While I agree with the researcher who said I can't believe this kind of locker room talk is allowed in my Christian Wormcraft server, I don't agree with taking a little bit of good worm humor and turning it into everyone is a racist.
Big win. Okay. Hey, thank you, Jess. I want to say it first. Let it be known. Thank you, Jess.
Yeah. Thanks, Jess.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jess. Do you have any final thoughts on the worm?
Just need you all to remember that the worm community is very strong and they have opinions, and you best not step on them.
Don't step on the worm, and these are our final thoughts.
Don't tread on these worms.
What community is stronger, bronies or worms?
I was never part of the brony community, but to be fair, I've never been part of the worm communities. Ben has been part of the brony community. He could probably speak to this.
See, I thought I had been. Recently, I have watched a video that came out about the brony community, and I realized that I was never a part of it. I just watched a few episodes and had a T-shirt. The rabbit hole, the pony hole goes a
Ew.
lot deeper.
Gross.
Please don't ever say pony hole again.
Ponyhole really derailed the conversation. It made us have a moment of silence.
As an agreement, as a pact to the cast, I promise never to say pony hole again.
Just said it again.
Oh, damn it, Ben.
Thank you,
Hey,
Ben.
Jess, will you come back in
Yeah.
10 weeks to be on our 100th episode again?
Sure.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
We should have
I'll be
everyone
here.
who's ever been on the
Respect.
cast come back for that.
Yes, except for the ones we hate.
Yeah.
True.
Oh, yeah.
Like Maggie.
Oh no.
I'm kidding.
And Dr. DeHart.
And Dr.
No,
DeHart.
there's already too much DeHart representation.
That's true.
Anyway, thank you so much, Jess, for telling us
Sibling
about the
update.
worm.
We love you.
You're welcome.
Separating the art from the artist, you put it much, much better than I was putting it. But I've got an article pulled up from the LA Times. Headline reads, "These TV shows recently removed blackface episodes. Here's what you need to know." And I got a whole list. I thought that we could read through some of these and sort of read about the situation, and then we could decide, does that episode need to be removed or not? And I also have another article that might be of some interest to us later on.
I like this approach because normally we give background first, but I think the background will kind of take itself out of the woodwork
Reveal
as
itself.
we
Yeah.
go episode to episode.
All right, so I don't know if you guys actually heard about a bunch of animated series saying that, all right, we're going to recast some of our characters because they're characters that are people of color, but they are voiced by white people. And the voiceover community was basically like, all right, sweet. And then a bunch of white people were like, you are the right person for the job. It doesn't matter what color they are. It's a cartoon. Blah, blah, blah. And then the rest of the voiceover community was like, shut the fuck up. You have no idea.
I am 100% on board for this because right now there's two voice actors out there and they are Tara Strong and Nolan North, and that's it. That is it. So when they talk about the right person for the job, they're literally just talking about Tara Strong and Nolan North.
Yes, you're not wrong. But also, I don't know how often you guys watch late night TV, but they have been forced to address blackface scandals after sketches with the hosts of The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, a.k.a. Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Kimmel Live, a.k.a. Jimmy Kimmel, both had performances where they were wearing blackface show up on the internet. Jimmy Fallon apologized for making the, quote, unquestionably offensive decision to wear blackface while impersonating fellow comedian Chris Rock for a 2000 SNL sketch. That was 20 years ago. And then Kimmel apologized for appearing in blackface multiple times on The Man Show, which ran from 99 to 04. So they've both apologized, and
Finally, a show for men.
yeah, The Man Show.
I removed Jess from the call and she just called me out on Skype. I think she was spy.
Big ups.
What about the writers and showrunners? Or producers? Are they apologizing for the blackface that's in the show?
It doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's entirely on the actors themselves, which is sort of strange.
I'm waiting for the makeup artists to step forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If anyone's at fault, it's the makeup artist who applied it.
Here's the thing that I think is a good jumping off point before we get into specifics. We all know that this is not a good thing. So why does it happen so often? There's people in the chair doing the makeup. There's the actor themselves. There's the producers. There's the director. There are the writers. Like, how are all these different levels of people just being like, yeah, this is going to be funny? And it's almost all of these are sitcoms.
I will have to say that I think that times change people, and it turns out we all sucked in the early 2000s.
Apparently.
So now we just suck a little less. So I think it's just less likely to occur. But the people who hadn't realized how much we sucked and then engaged in that content back then.
There's also something to be said about the fact that we had absolutely no choices for our entertainment options because the internet wasn't around. So it was just TV, pay-per-view, and whatever movie or TV show you rented. So now there's a lot more options. If you want to start a TV show on a lower budget, you can by putting it on YouTube. However, that also comes with the burden of if your show sucks or you've done bad things, there's social consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm going to also say that some shows, I think, we're going to get into like where this gets hairy. Some shows that are fictional, when their characters do blackface, they often are supposed to be bad people. So them doing blackface is kind of the point. There's a few shows in particular where them doing the blackface is intentionally shown to be not we're impersonating black people. We are showing how terrible these characters are because they're doing blackface in the year of our Lord 2014.
Right. That makes sense.
And there's arguments to be made whether those jokes are good enough to do blackface with, but at the very least, they're not just trying to do like those kind of old blackface style things where they're just being black characters without casting black people.
That's fair. So, you want the first one? We can talk about it.
I would like the first one.
The first one is
Yes.
W/Bob and David. Have you heard of this show,
I don't think so.
Evan?
Absolutely not.
All right, it's a Netflix original, I think. It stars David Cross and Bob Odenkirk, and I think it's like a sketch comedy show. And there's a sketch in season 1, episode 3, where David Cross was wearing blackface, and the sketch is titled "Know Your Rights," and his character gave an absurd how-to lesson on maintaining your rights in the face of police harassment. Appearing at first without blackface, Gilvin interacts with a police officer played by Keegan-Michael Key, who stops his car briefly and then lets him pass. When his character rolls up to the checkpoint again in blackface, the same police officer, exasperated by his character's repeated attempts to provoke him, defers to his colleague, who attacks Gilvin with pepper spray and a taser. So, this seems like it was probably in 2015 when this came out. So, I mean, 5 years ago, but still, like, not great.
Very true, not great. I would not use the word tasteful, but I will say that David Cross and Odenkirk, seasoned comedians, so it's like, oh, they probably had the plans of, making it seem funny. And there has to be the difference between, is it actually funny or does it just not seem funny right now? And who am I to say other than let it roll, baby?
We're gonna get into this, I think, later, and you can be the judge yourselves. But I think that's kind of the issue, is that comedy is not going to be funny to some people, and it's going to be funny to other people. And you kind of have to decide whether you're going to present stuff that used to be funny as funny today, or maybe it was never funny and people just let it slide because it was adjacent to other funny things. But I think the thing that we're going to get into quickly is that does removing these TV shows do anything worthwhile, or does it just pay lip service to a movement while making sure that your name doesn't get dragged through the mud? I think there's a similar argument to be made with like removing Confederate statues, which I'm kind of all for, but I think there's a difference here, and I think we'll have to be making that distinction later.
Definitely.
Go, Evan.
Yeah, I think it is less akin to taking down statues that say heritage not hate for Bojangles popcorn elite. Versus
Slave Haver the Fourth.
Yeah, changing the name of the biggest bedroom from master bedroom to something else. One of them is a little bit more, monumental change, quite literally. Or the other one being, something that you're just kind of giving up that didn't really hurt you to give up anyways.
I'm not going to lie, you just kind of glass shattered me on the master bedroom right now.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, there's so many little things that I just wouldn't have thought of. And that's stuff like that where I'm just like, at a certain point, is anyone thinking that? But if they are, that's a wild thing to just have in our vernacular.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things where like the deeper you dig, the more you find that might be filled with C elegance.
Exactly. It's worms all the way down.
But in the meantime, before we jump too deep into this, you guys want to jump into the think tank?
Are there going to be worms in the tank?
There always are.
All right.
There's worms inside of me, so of course there will be. Welcome to the Think Tank, everybody. This is a part of the show where my delay in audio this episode will absolutely make it difficult for us to have a repartee. However, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Let's Bring Them In. Also, be sure to email us with the email address letsbringthemin@gmail.com. Give us show suggestions. Give us funny things to say. Share a recipe that we could use or not use. Don't care. Don't send us spam. If you send us spam, you'll put on a list, which is a do not email list. Don't worry. We're not going to make another reference to a movie that will not be referenced to. Also, please, we need you to rate, review, 5-star. And then in the review, Derek will say it word for word. You can make him say anything.
Almost anything.
anything. He will say anything.
He will disparage
what
worm
else?
science worm Twitter for you.
I would love it if someone put the entire Ulysses book in there and Derek had to read it on cast. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
I want to
I know.
reignite the worm debate at some point. I want to see how deep this wormhole goes.
Wormhole.
I will not say.
Mm.
I'm not gonna say pony hole.
You just
Isn't
fucking
it-
said it another time, Ben.
I just want to say, like, why is wormhole like some cool science fiction term, but pony hole just sounds wrong?
Because I can't even
Is it
believe
worse
that we
to
have to
say
have this
brony
conversation.
hole?
That's even worse.
Pony hole is so very clearly the one hole that's under the tail. That's the only hole you
Or-
think of.
Or it's somebody's ponytail, like where the little squeegee wraps around, where the little like thing wraps around,
Nope.
and you just that's
Scrunchy.
the
It's not.
Scrunchy.
It's not. It's a scrunchy. It's not a pony hole.
Ben makes a great point. We should listen to him and let him continue to say the word pony hole. Maybe sometimes slipping a brony hole in there.
Ugh.
I think I'm gonna adhere to my earlier veto, even though I broke it now, of vetoing the words.
That
pony
veto
hole.
lasted maybe 10 minutes.
I think that just about wraps it up. Anyone else have anything else they'd like to plug?
Nope.
All right. Time to get sucked out of the think tank. We're back from the think tank, you dirty motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got pulled out of the pony hole, and we are back into the discourse.
I just want to thank you both for being a friend, because the next show under fire is Golden Girls.
I believe that the episodes in questions involved them getting face masks.
Yeah, mud face masks from a 1988 episode. So this one is like 100 years old almost.
So to start with, I feel like mud face masks are every white person's worst nightmare. First off, they feel very luxurious. Second off, if the doorbell rings, your life is over. You've just been canceled.
Yeah, it's true. In this specific episode, it appears that Dorothy's son Michael introduces himself to the mother of his fiance, who's concerned about her marrying a white man. I guess it's assumed that his fiance is black. Unaware of the family meeting, Blanche and Rose stumble into the room in matching brown mud face masks, and then Rose classically says, "This is mud on our faces. We're not really black." And that's it. And because of that, the episode is taken down off of Hulu.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that is one of the moves where it's like you jumped the gun and now no one was really gonna come for you.
Yeah,
I
that's
get that
my
it
thought
might
too.
come off as blackface, but like there's no blending, you know? And don't get me wrong, the best part of
Right.
comedy is making points. But this is not a very I don't know. I am also a white man speaking for this show, so it's like, you know, am I really in a position to say
True.
something? Yes, I have a podcast and you're listening to me, so I'm not going to be quiet for the entire hour. That's not very pleasurable.
Yeah.
But it
I
seems like
think-
an overreaction.
Yes. No, it's one of those things where I've seen Black Twitter respond to these shows being taken down, and the overarching sentiment that I've seen has been, "Oh wow, thank you for taking down this episode of Golden Girls. Can we stop the police killing us now?
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
like that's fantastic. Thank you for this for taking down an episode. Can we do something real?"
How brave of you to take down one episode of America's favorite show, but in America's real life show, the police are still doing whatever the fuck they want. So how about we fix that one instead?
Yes, and it comes off as like an attempt to like grab clout for Golden Girls and get back into the conversation, and it's like, is this authentic? Do you actually think this is a problem, creators of Golden Girls? I'm so sorry. Or are you just trying to get your name back out there and get more views? Anything for views.
So what's the better option? You have this show with an episode that could be construed as blackface, however loosely. Like maybe it's a face mask, maybe your character actually came out in blackface as a joke. This came out 20, 30, 40 years ago, and you have to deal with it now. What do we think is the plan?
Personally, I think a good move would be for them, if they think that an episode is actually problematic, instead of taking it down, before that episode, they can say, put a promotional message at the beginning of it. Say, like, we would like that, anytime this episode gets streamed, that any of the money we make somehow, like whatever portion that this episode will make, will go towards a charity.
Oh, that's great, Evan. Let's
really
get all
good.
the bad ideas out right now. I think that instead, what we need to do is re-edit these, because the only place people are watching online, is online, and that's the only place people will be talking about them. People won't know what the episode was supposed to be, and the moment somebody tries to fact check it, we can make that episode appear to be anything else. Let's get Betty White back in the studio, or our best Betty White impersonator, and just re-edit it. Like, just put something else there.
Oh,
I think actually the whole show is bad because her last name is White. We should take the whole show down.
Ooh.
I agree.
Yep.
So instead, we are going to have her name be, well, if it was like, I was going to say Blanche, but Blanche is a character.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, you're really in a pickle with this renaming of a Hollywood's grandma, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna say Betty Master Bedroom for her name, I think.
BMB for short.
Yep, and we found the name of the episode.
Betty Master Bedroom. Jeez. Farts in a jar, guys. We can't say her name on this podcast.
Why? Oh no.
Yeah.
We are cursed.
Son. Oh no. Listen, fuck us. Listener,
We
if
have
you're
a
listening to
bad-
this and
We
something
have a bad record.
bad happened to her and you're listening to this, I just want you to know that I tried to catch it. I tried to stop it, and I'm so sorry.
So first we
Oh,
accidentally.
no.
Who is the first person we accidentally killed?
Stan
on the
Lee.
podcast?
Stan Lee.
Then we accidentally killed Trader Joe. We don't have a good record right now.
Did we kill Stephen Hawking too, or was that
We
after?
killed somebody else. We
We
definitely killed one other person, but I
Yeah.
can't remember who it is.
Oh no, I'm so stressed out.
They tend to die like
I-
immediately after we record an episode.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna be
I think
so
we
mad.
put her out of her misery, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think she's had a long enough run.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
And she's
derail.
loved.
I just got so scared.
You either die a star or live long enough to see yourself get canceled.
That's a nice spin on the old adage.
By the way, I've just thought of this now, and there's no better place to say it than on this podcast, where I will be listened to by the most people. On my tombstone, I wish for nothing more than my name, the year I was born, and then the words, "Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are shooting stars?" I could really use a wish right now. Wish right now, wish right now.
What about the year you were canceled? Like the year you were born, the year you died, and the year you got canceled.
Yes, actually, redacted. I want that as well. Reinstated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The year you got canceled. I just hope to never be canceled. I hope to die before I'm canceled.
That's the thing. It's just like the amount of actors I feel like that have recovered from being canceled. It's normally because they're currently doing something that's in the public zeitgeist and they have actively tried to change it or referenced it and say, "I'm super sorry about this."
Yeah.
My favorite version is Kevin Spacey, who was canceled and then said, "I'm actually, I'm gay and I'm the bad guy, so you have to take me back." Respect to that.
Yes, I'm America's bad boy. And because I am gay, I must be forgiven.
Yep, you owe it to me.
I think there's a couple interesting strategies. So maybe take that one as a good example of what not to do. But what can a company do? So we have re-editing videos. Is there another show that has taken down episodes? Garrett?
Yes. I've got one from Community. I've got 2 from The Office. I have 3
Let's go to the Office
from
one,
Scrubs.
actually.
So here's something that I find very interesting so far, and as I'm looking at all these other examples, in every example, there's a black person in that episode, in that scene. In all of these examples, like, I find it very strange that it isn't just like, oh yes, we're a group of white people making a show and we're going to have one character in blackface. and that's just it. But it's always like, we're also going to have a black person in the scene on camera with the person who's doing blackface. And I don't know. I mean, blackface in general rubs me the wrong way, but this also sort of rubs me the wrong way.
To me, it doesn't
also.
be in the context of these episodes. For instance, let's talk about The Office.
Yeah.
The episode in question, the one that I know got taken down, was the one about the Belschnickel.
Yep.
And this one was about Svante Pete, the Belschnickel's helper,
Yep.
who is often portrayed in blackface, which is, and I know a lot about this because this is my heritage of being Dutch. So Svante Pete often, it's basically like a little Santa elf, but often portrayed in blackface. And so Dwight, as this German, like Pennsylvania Dutch hybrid, is saying, we have Black Peter coming in. And then when they look it up, Oscar is like, it describes the character as being often portrayed blackface. And Stanley, the black character in the show, says, nope, not happening. And then Dwight says, oh, don't worry, we don't go along with all of our outdated traditions. Quickly calls his helper to not show up, who is about to walk in with blackface on. That's the context of the joke. Completely self-aware to both the background of where blackface comes from culturally, and takes it into the modern conversation. So I think if there's a way to use blackface, that's the perfect way to go.
There's also another episode, Season 9, Episode 9, Dwight Christmas, featured a character in blackface in a scene, but they just edited that scene out recently. They're just like, we'll just take that scene out. The episode works without it.
Isn't that the one I just said, or?
That is the exact same one.
Never mind. Yeah, so it's just the one episode.
What's the other
then.
one?
Yeah, no, that's it. It's just one episode. I misread the article.
Very impish, Derek.
Yeah.
Yes, so
Yeah,
that's
just that
the one
one.
I'm talking about.
Chalk
White
Bill.
Christmas. And honestly, when we're talking about blackface, we can't ignore the cultural background where it comes from, which is often in theater, I think, and public theater, where often majority white societies would depict people that they had never seen or didn't know in their communities, and probably it's super problematic in bad ways.
So the first blackface was actually men playing women for Shakespeare. But instead of, so when I say blackface, I mean people playing characters that aren't them. However,
Wait,
now,
hold on. If we're talking about people
yeah.
playing characters that are not them, that's every person on stage ever.
Oh, good point. I meant people
It
that
means, like, going
could not
against
identify as the characters. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it started in
Thank you,
theater
Benjamin.
in ancient
All right,
Greece.
but like I can't identify as somebody who jabbed my own eyes out. So we need to also define this even harder.
You've never like had that desire, like when you're holding a pair of scissors, just, quick jab, see if you could take it?
Well, not after I banged my own mom.
Good point.
Well, I guess if you get that far, then you kind of have to do the eyes. But if you can't commit, you don't got to do the eye part.
These are the original method actors.
Oh, bring back method acting, one of our best episodes, in my opinion. Okay, what was I saying? Going against type, men playing women. Yes. So Derek, what you were saying, or who said it? Ben or Derek? Doesn't matter. On a roll, and the audio has a delay. So, originally it was people cutting out minorities and people who were like underrepresented peoples, so that they didn't have to employ them, be in the same workspace. However, now that, as it was mentioned before, there is at least a minority represented, is it still inappropriate? Personally, I think yes. However, when it's done in that episode of The Office where it's like, they're saying it's bad, and it's bad to even say that it's bad. Like, at that point, is it Fahrenheit 451-ish, where you were just getting rid of all of it instead of, appropriate censorship? Thoughts?
Yeah, I think in the instance of The Office, it's just people in the executive chair saying, let's go hard, just take everything out. I don't want to get canceled. Like, I don't understand. First off, executives don't understand their own content on their platforms. They don't have time to watch it or read it. So they don't care about the context in which the jokes were done. That's not their job. It's their job to just make sure that they keep making money. So this is obviously a super cynical way of handling this, but that's also our job to make sure that they are able to keep making money in the most profitable way. So, is there another way to handle this rather than just taking down the episodes that feature blackface with no context?
There is. And I will direct your attention to my second article. So, Idris Elba completely solved this problem for us in this article from July 15th of this year. He says, "I don't believe in censorship. I believe that we should be allowed to say what we want to say." In the context of these episodes of people in blackface, he said, let's see, "I'm very much a believer in the freedom of speech, but the thing about freedom of speech is that it's not suitable it's not suitable for everybody. That's why we have a rating system. We tell you that this particular content is rated U, PG, PG-13, 15, 18, R, whatever. To mock the truth, you have to know the truth, but to censor racist themes within a show to pull it off, wait, I think viewers should know that people made shows like this," he says. He's basically saying, in this article, he's saying, you can't have freedom of speech and also censor these shows by pulling this content off, because people need to know that someone made this show. So his solution was put a warning or like a caution out of respect in the beginning of these episodes. Like, hey, just so you know, this episode has a white person in blackface. If you're not cool with that, skip this episode.
I think that's the only solution. That's the real solution. And I do want to just draw the before I do this. Evan, go ahead.
Yes, I'm glad, Ben, that you agree with that, which is very much better than my terrible idea earlier, which instead of just having a warning, instead having, a message at the beginning, a la Jersey Shore when Snooki got her face punched, and they dedicated the episode to domestic abuse. So let us never forget that Jersey Shore, again, prevailing as one of the beacons of light in this society which we live in.
Yeah, and to be fit to actually to pull away the joke a little bit, I do think that maybe if they're serious about like the episode and the content within it, then they should do what Evan said and say the revenue we get from this episode will be donated.
It should honestly be a two-part solution. Part one is say, hey, this episode has blackface in it. If you're down to watch the episode still, go for it. The proceeds are going to this and this charity for every cent that we earn on this episode. And B, like, if you're not down with it, then don't watch it, and we're fine with you skipping it. We made it a non-canonical part of this show just because, like, this was a part of whatever that we had to say, but you're not going to miss out if you miss it. Something like that.
I mean, the thing is, like, if we're talking about a show that relies on overall narrative, then we're entering a whole different thing. But like, these are sitcoms. You're not going to miss out on the overarching story by missing a single episode
with one bad goof in it.
And to be fair, I think that the Belschnickel joke is really good, and it uses blackface in probably one of the few places that I think would be absolutely acceptable. Not absolutely, but I would say comedically acceptable even by today's standards.
Especially because in that episode, Stanley squashes it. He says, nope, we're not doing that.
Literally, yep.
There was an example in an episode of the Community where Ken Jeong was like dressed, they were playing D&D and he was
as
dressed
a dark elf.
Yeah, as a dark elf. And Chevy Chase's character referred to him as blackface. And Yvette Nicole Brown said out loud, are we just going to ignore the hate crime that just happened? And it's like pointing a direct finger at, like, you can't do that, but we also did it, so here's a joke.
Again, it's one of those characters that you're supposed to think is a horrible person that's doing horrible, awful things.
Right.
Which I will say, if I peel back the curtain and enjoy the show from a farther step back, making the picture much harder to understand, but the puppeteers a little bit more in the forefront, it does make me angry, that episode of Community, that the writers literally just wanted to have a joke about blackface, which in general, like, is it funny? In the moment, it's like, oh, you get a chortle, not even a chuckle, listener, a chortle, which is not a funny word. So ultimately, no, I don't think it's
fucking
very funny.
birds
However,
do.
I am also an office head.
Yeah, I would say that one is a maybe for me. The Ken Jeong joke about dark elves. I'll say that one's a solid maybe. But that's, I think, the issue is that like community is subjective, or not comedy is subjective. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to decide. So I think as long as we just like follow Idris Elba's advice and put a warning on at the front, so you can decide like, okay, is this content I'm willing to see? And then if it is, you can decide if it's funny by yourself, and then comment on Twitter about it later.
I hope to always follow Idris Elba's advice.
Never forget Idris Elba, COVID negative.
True.
He was one of the first
That's
negative
true.
tests.
He sure
and then
was.
Everyone reply tweeted, "How did he get a test?"
That's true. I remember that.
The last thing I want to say is to just wrap up the conversation that we opened, the bag of worms we opened about the can of worms we opened about Confederate statues in this. Like, because I don't want to just leave that thread hanging.
Yeah.
I think the direction we went with this kind of answers the questions that we raised. But to just kind of put a pin in it, what is the big difference between leaving episodes with blackface up and leaving Confederate figures up?
I think to start, we really have deviated from separating the art from the artist. I don't think that was this conversation truly. I think more it was like finding a way to justify, is this kind of media okay, or how can we make it so that it is okay? But like without being like black-based
Contextualize.
apologist. Contextualizing, yes. And so I think to contextualize in the same sort of phrasing, Confederate statues and monuments, I think those are very real images, very real monuments.
Well, you answered it.
Yeah.
Because contextualizing it, by our solution means like maybe putting a frame of warning in the beginning. So in the same way,
Yeah.
it would be putting them into a space where they can be consumed by choice, like a museum.
Absolutely. Rather than by, hello, welcome to the square. Remember this guy? He loved the slaves so much that he wanted to die for them.
I'm walking to work. I want to chill in the park. Oh yes, my state loved slavery and still is cool with it.
I can't walk to McDonald's without passing by the old 400-year-old slave auction block. Very cool.
And there's no way to make a joke less funny than seeing it a lot.
Yeah.
I think, and it's in the same way at these sort of statues. There's no way to sort of like view them in the way that they are valuable to be viewed than by forcing you to see them over and over and over.
You know what? We figured it out. You can keep your racist episodes as long as you put a warning in front of them, and because we figured it out for you, we'll also be billing you.
And we'll be forwarding that bill to good charities. Okay, it's time for the tweet corner.
Or just Idris Elba.
Or just Idris Elba. Idris Elba and the Worms.
Before
You
ever
Think
about tweets, you
must
begin.
to
wonder
Automatic rifle,
shooting
out
blanks,
because
it's
tweet corner.
time.
All right, we're in the corner. Okay. So this is going to take a lot of editing by Ben, so we're going to keep it to 4 tweets. The editing will be because of how poor the timing is. So first and foremost, obviously we're going to have to start off with one by Ascended One at ASCENDID1. Socks with dirt layer on bottom, slides, stretched out neck graphic tee I've been wearing for 4 days, and one shorts being pulled down by giant phone, dipped, SIGs, Zippo, and keys. Swiping my mom's debit card and sitting down with a $23 barbecue plate plus IPA, watching Rick and Morty max volume.
Wow,
Oh,
you painted
jeez.
an image.
Oh my gosh. Ascended
Ascended One.
Yes, the
Who have you described and why? Why did you make them
the
a part of
caption
my
is Austin, Texas.
life? Yeah, that's accurate. That tracks.
Oh,
God,
jeez.
that large plate of barbecue while sitting down and watching Rick and Morty.
The shorts being weighed down by all that bullshit. Oh.
Way too much nicotine.
Yeah.
Also having a big phone. Big phones.
big phone.
Honestly, that's partially why I don't want to upgrade my phone, even though at this point I'm getting to the point where like it might be unavoidable because it's difficult to charge it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just don't want those phones that's the size of my goddamn head.
I think eventually they'll start getting smaller again. They have to hit an apex.
I want the rotating phone. Okay, so this one, next tweet by Maggie May Fish.
Wait,
At
do you mean like a flip
MAGG.
rotating phone or like a rotary phone?
No, not a rotary phone. Those
That'd
aren't
be
cool.
cool.
I mean like the ones that are like really skinny, small. It was the Juke is what I'm talking about. The ones
The
that
juke.
Yeah,
Yeah, watch
yeah,
me
yeah,
move
yeah.
like my juke.
Okay, Maggie May Fish at MAGGIEMAEFISH. Sorry, I don't know who Joe Rogan is. I have a lot of sex.
I've been laughing at
Amen.
this tweet all week.
Me too. Oh, jeez.
My sister legitimately yelled from the other room, "Wait, Seth Rogen and Joe Rogan aren't brothers?"
This just in,
That's real good.
his sister has a lot of sex. Because, well, maybe not a lot of... This is not a demeaning... She's cool. Maggie's very cool. Because she doesn't know about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, not a cool thing to know about.
Yeah, I've tried to listen to Joe Rogan, and then the more you listen to Joe Rogan, the more you realize that sometimes, like, people can just put words together in any order, and there's no one that can stop them.
Oh, man.
It's very much like, imagine the one friend that, like, did drugs first and then came back to school to talk about it. And his episodes are
Yes,
like 3
that's what
hours
it's
long.
like.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So long.
Okay.
I did listen to one. The only Joe Rogan episode I ever actually listened to was with Dominic Monaghan from Lost and also The Lord of the Rings. And it was 3
Yeah.
hours long. And it was cool because I happened to
He
have
gets good
3
guests.
hours that day. But it was just like, whoa, these are long fucking episodes.
Also, Dominic Monaghan, very much a believer in the fact that there is no afterlife. It's just that when you die, you know, brain activity proceeds for quite a long time, comparatively much longer than the average dream lasts. So your afterlife is just a dream. I actually learned that from an episode of Eric Andre when he was a guest.
Whoa.
And this
Okay,
is,
next tweet.
And he should know, but wait, he should know about the afterlife in that, like, he knows that his best friend sailed into the Undying Lands.
Yeah, he should know that. Maybe he forgot.
He probably did. He was, you know, smoking all that pipe weed. So this tweet is by
Mhm.
at Carter Hambley at CART.
Has your mind been addled
ER.
by the leaf of the hobbits?
Said Saruman to Gandalf. The gray, not the white. He turned into the white when he
Exactly.
went from less of a head high to a body
Which is
high.
pretty
Different
problematic.
pipeweed. If I'm being honest, it can't be avoided.
True.
So, whoa.
We're going to cancel the two towers.
When they came for our sitcoms, I said nothing, for I did not love sitcoms. And then, okay, I got to get to the next tweet before I get bogged down.
Yeah.
At Carter Hambley, at CarterHambley. So it's a picture tweet, but you don't need the pictures. Just know that this tweet says, every new Dairy Queen flavor is a technological leap that shits on the grave of every scientist that worked on the Manhattan Project.
Whoa.
Wow.
Jeez.
Thank you so much for listening to Let's Bring Them In. My name has been Benjamin DeHart. I'm your up-and-coming marketing rock star.
And as always, this has been Sir Derek, your Knight of Ethics. Tune in next week when we actually rebrand a full can of live worms. Also, drink some water, please. It's getting hot out there.
Thank you, Derek. All right, last tweet here is by Zach Fox. I don't know what to call him. He has some songs that he's made, but he's not a musician. He's done comedy. He's not a comedian. I think he's just overall presider of the internet. I would as Twitter account John Boys, very famous. If you've never heard of them, you should check out the website twitter.com. As Twitter user John Boys has said, fellow respected internet user Zach Fox. So at ZACKFOX. Moaning during sex is primitive. Both people should just say bruh at a gradually increasing volume. And this has been Evan Klein, your time wizard. You know what? Stay safe. Thank you for dealing with this episode. Also, thank you, Ben, for editing this episode. It's not going to be easy because of the audio delay.
It'll be a fun challenge.
Drink water, eat a vegetable, listen to the people who are not usually listened to. And remember, Black Lives Matter now and forever. We'll be billing you.
Amen.
That's not what we say.
Oh, see ya.